Okay, so our next submitter is Jan Whitehead from the Banks Peninsula Community Sports Complex. Jan, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Apologies, I've got notes. It took me by surprise that this was happening so quickly. So just bear with me for the few minutes. In 2018, a group of interested people got together to look at the redevelopment of our community courts behind the Grand Hotel in Akaroa. The complex at the moment has 2 croquet lawns, 3 hard courts. These hard courts are in varying states of disrepair. There is also a club rooms building, of which half of that is tenanted at the moment. The group had, and still does since that time, some simple goals to redevelop the complex, to make it safe and multifunctional, to better fit the needs of the clubs and the greater Banks Peninsula community. To seek council's help with regards to a hands up with funding the project, and then seeking the rest of the funding required by applying to other sources and fundraising efforts from the clubs and the community. And the third one was to secure a lease to enable the Banks Peninsula Community Sports Complex Group to be able to seek that funding and so forth going forward. Nearly 2 years later, we're still working on that, and appreciate that we've had some time with council staff and with the community board working on that over this time. The sports group are keen and a motivated group across many sporting codes, and we are looking at being able to redevelop those courts so that they are multifunctional for multi-use and safe and usable. They were developed in 1932, so it's not something new that we're asking for consideration for. One court is now very unsafe and has been recognised as council as such. We cannot afford to lose more. One has, since the time it was developed, now been put into car parking. Why is it important to maintain these facilities? It's increasingly common that many adults do not get enough physical activity. Doing the required 30 minutes a day of moderate activity on most days of the week, we know is all a health risk if we're not doing that. Undertaking physical activity is a private choice, totally accept that as well. However, the conditions in which people work and play nowadays makes it more challenging, and we need to be able to provide those facilities, look after those facilities so that people can access that when they need to. You as local government are one of the most important and powerful influences on health and well-being of communities and populations. The decisions that you make, and I know there are numerous of them, this is just one area, may affect the determinants of health. As such, local governments have the ability to improve population health and reduce inequalities in New Zealand. Comes as no surprise to you that Christchurch City Council has a comprehensive physical recreation and sports strategy and many other policies. In these, you will find a strong vision and many goals and strategies to address sport and recreation facilities and activities in our region. Some of these: to maintain and redevelop existing facilities and open spaces to meet the current and future participation expectations and trends; to educate and encourage physical recreation and sports providers to create programs and activities that are safe, non-threatening, welcoming and beginner-friendly; to work with older people and physical recreation and sport providers to increase access to activities; to develop comprehensive one-stop shops for physical recreation and sport information; to educate, motivate children and to participate by making their early experiences in physical education and sport positive, successful, enjoyable and safe. There are many others. I'm preaching to you guys who've actually set these policies and procedures in place. One of the big ones is to encourage recreation organisations and groups to work together and share resources wherever possible. This group is endeavouring hugely to do this. There are also many societal trends that are affecting our ability to choose to be more physically active. Changes to work patterns make it difficult for families to organise leisure time together. For this reason alone, the open spaces need to be maintained so that they can have extended hours for these young families to come together. COVID, in all its horrific detail, has actually provided and reminded a lot of families of this, that getting out and getting that activity together in some of our facilities is the way to go. We need to provide our community, both young and old, with safe, affordable and fun physical activity options, and we need to provide low-cost recreation opportunities. Otherwise, many will opt out, as we already know. An example of this is I coach our little year 3 and 4s over in Akaroa. We have between 15 and 30 kids each year and have had dispensation from Selwyn Netball to actually run a little year 3 and 4 program over there. The reason for this is, yes, they could go and participate in the Selwyn Netball program, but it's on a weeknight, or there are 3 weeknights you can choose, a journey of at least an hour each way for our children, and 138 kilometres return trip. Many of these people do make it and make those choices in the weekends to play sport, both in Lincoln or here in Christchurch. But if you can see these little wee ones on the courts in Akaroa really enjoying it, getting those opportunities. The Banks Peninsula Netball Club went from 5 teams to 12 in the last 3 or 4 years. And I would like to say it's probably as a result of running some of these programs that we can run in Akaroa and engage these people from a very, very early age.
Now that has brought us to the end of the 5 minutes set aside. We're actually a little bit beyond the end of the 5 minutes, so if you can just wrap up quickly.
Can I just say that we asked Council to consider an upgrade of facilities, and in particular the hard court nearest to the car park. It was assessed as barely serviceable in February 2019. That the Banks Peninsula Community Sport Group have developed a proposal, and that the Parks Committee have a look at that and work with the group, and that the implementation of not doing this development be considered by Council, because it should be in the long term and annual plans.
Thank you very much indeed for your submission this morning. Very clear. Thank you.